Morning, everybody. Ace of Trades here. Got a light start on the day. Take care of some things here. So let me just go over the price action we've had so far. So basically, I'd look at this as a leg down. It was kind of difficult to um, set our overnight lows for the day because we just kept going. We didn't really have any clear low. I probably would have put it right there if you come in. If you come in, this is 8:30, almost 9 o'clock. Um, you probably would put it right there to start. And then prices pushed down through, tried to push up again, and failed down. You got two legs here, uh, back. So that's an aggressive one. It is two legs, but you've got two legs down below the overnight high, or I'm sorry, the overnight low, though we did push up into overnight low and reject it. So I would say that's an aggressive one. If I'd have seen it live, probably wouldn't have taken it, I don't think. And then you get this spike up, and then maybe by this time, uh, I leave that there, but I might put another marker here just to uh, keep it as a note. Um, the prices kind of bounced there. Maybe we'll give that a different shade. Okay. And then we'll just see if prices don't really react to this, then we'll just remove it as the day goes on. But if they do, then we'll just keep that on there. And then you got this nice channel up, and you got these two legs. There is an STT there, but if you understand that prices are attempting to reverse, you could probably enter that right there. Let's see how, depending on, I haven't checked to see how quickly I printed. 938, 939. So they weren't printing too quickly, maybe every 30 seconds. So that wouldn't have been too bad. And then you get this break, new high. So then we're not really we're just cautious then at that point. So then you get the attempted reversal. For some reason, prices just start bouncing there and push up. And then around 10:01, I'm not sure what the news item was. It's not on the calendar. Maybe it's Trump said something or whatever, but it's not a news item. There's a 10 o'clock news item, but the market didn't spike at 10. It spiked around 10:01. So now usually when you get these news induced items, I had a measured move drawn there to there, which gets you back up to the overnight high. Usually you'll get some fluctuation in one direction or another if it really affects the market. But those news induced items are usually, the market usually tries to take those back then shortly thereafter. And you can see we pushed back down in here to the range. And you got, depending on how this correction here would react, you can see you have one leg down, two legs down. Maybe it's just thin enough that it could be forming its own channel, but we just raced right back up, and now we're back up into the overnight high. So you just kind of have to be careful. Prices don't really seem to have a direction. Kind of formed a bullish imbalance because we spiked up out of the range and couldn't get back down into it very far, maybe halfway, and then we're spiking up again. So prices seem a little bit bullish here, but uh, I can't really grasp any particular direction it wants to go to be confident about a structure that I want to trade. So let's see, just draw this for example. Let's just see what that looks like. Um, you have that, and then you don't get the measured move. So maybe ends up being, we'll see if this continues plummeting down or if this tries to hold with a higher low. Um, we'll decide. Usually wait and see if another move down starts breaking past this low and it started at a lower spot than this, then I'll look for a measured leg down. So we'll just have to see but if it's gonna bounce here early and bounce out, then I'm not looking for a measured leg anymore. So that's about all I have for right now. Um, there's aggressive one, and then I missed that one because I wasn't here this morning. So we'll just see how it goes. Okay, everybody, just wanted to point out here we had some market's slowed down a little bit now since the I think this news spike, it wasn't on the calendar, but I think that was the Supreme Court ruling that Trump could not impose tariffs. I think that's what caused that huge spike, and then we had some one leg, two legs. This downtrend made a new low. We reversed. I didn't put this on here yet. Just noticing. So this, you could look at this. The whole thing is a leg up. Um, and then this is a leg up. At first, we're seeing this as the uptrend break and these new highs, and so you know you're expecting maybe to reverse here, and we get two measured legs down. You can see there to this area. Now you can't. I don't really just take measured move. I wouldn't buy this as just a pattern. We need good context too. But you can see how powerful measured moves are that, sometimes prices, they just hit those areas and then they just move. You can see how this ran into the EMA and pushed down and you would be concerned about prices continuing to fade down. There is room to the EMA, but it's just not good context. Sometimes prices will, just tick up a little bit higher and they'll just, continue down. And then this measured move, it looks nice now, but then it doesn't mean anything. And then likewise, when you push up here, you get the measured move runs into this area, and now we're going up here. So we couldn't push down into the range. So now we're pushing back up. So now you have to think there's for some reason there is a bullish bias. And so, shorting that just because it's a measured move is not a good idea either. Um, and so forth with even this one. If you think, oh, that's maybe we didn't quite make it there with a close, but here we did. You just have to be very careful. Measured moves are super powerful, but I also combine other context with using them for trades. So that's it right now. We've got these two legs up now you could be looking at, which would give you confluence with this spike up. So if you get a big race up here to this level, this measured move level, and then maybe you get a lower high, that's probably a good place to then take a short. But we'll just see. Sometimes this even works too when you get, a bounce off the EMA and then you spike up again real quick, but you make a lower high than this high. You've got 4 points to the EMA there. Probably going to get some follow through if this finishes bearish. But I will say it's aggressive, and I'm not usually a super aggressive trader. But it has it. Okay, so it didn't even finish well, and then it's pushing up again. So anyway, just watching for this measured move and seeing what happens at this point. That's the next thing, major thing we're looking at. Update time. All right, so I had this measured move drawn on here, and we didn't quite push up to it and started going a little bit sideways. And you can see by this time, I mean, there's a pattern, second attempt there, but you've just it's getting very sideways here. This is not like a typical um, kind of up and down movement. This is you pushed up several times here and you just kind of get these overlapping bars. And so getting what you can visually see as a second attempt there. I don't like that. Continue to go sideways over lots of overlapping bars. So clearly when this starts happening, you're either going to start ranging here or you're running out of steam and it's going to roll over. So this is an odd looking move down. Kind of difficult to, if you're just looking at that, it's kind of difficult to draw because of this dump here. It's kind of difficult to draw a nice clean channel. So it looked to me like the best thing perhaps is maybe you would um, kind of cut that right there. If you cut that right there, it fits pretty good. So we're still looking for the correction we want. Two legs, or maybe a strong push down, get a lower high. And this just, it pushes up into the overnight high level, goes sideways, pushes up again, and now, um, you know, here we're going sideways again. So we're back up into this resistance level and doing range stuff again. So, either eventually buyers decide we just can't push it through this level anymore. I have this drawn here just for a visualization, but this doesn't really look like a trend to me. It's not really sticking together very well. Um, so I drew that on there when we got this swing and pushed up. Now if this would have kept pushing up, and then we maybe now look at that as a trend potentially. But we hit this resistance area again, you know, once, twice, three times we're in this area and we're pushing down. Um, and just because this has been resistance, I'm not looking to try to like buy a breakout uh, of this range. To me, I'd be concerned about. We've been up in this area three times now and we're struggling again. I'd be concerned about it failing now and trying to push down again. So just have to watch what goes on here. Um, Certainly, I'm not thinking of buying here now that we're back up into these levels where we've struggled before. So I'd be more inclined to think we're going to try to push down again, and maybe we push down, and that every time we would try to push down into this range, we can't get as far as we did before here and now. Maybe we push down, now maybe we bounce off and go higher again. So anyway, I'm thinking we're going to try to fade this again and we'll see what we get. I'm not necessarily connecting this with this as a measured move because we're just about in the same area. It's very widespread, so it's not really something that would be beneficial to me anyway for like a trade or anything. So I wasn't really looking at that as a measured move. Now maybe we dump down here again, and if we come into this area like we did here and we bounce again, well then maybe we've got some sort of, sure, we'll just put this on here now. I'd probably draw it here since we were poking through, but if we would come back down here now, so we need to be aware of like this level. If we dump back down here now and struggle and push up, then we likely have a range then that we can look to trade prices. Sometimes prices does this wacky stuff, and then they'll settle down, and you'll just get into like a range for the rest of the day. Not saying that's what'll happen, but it may. Um, so again, we're failing off of this resistance level. So let's see, maybe we can get a nice clean move down, a couple legs to go with, uh, a retest of some move we have. So that's it. That's the update for now. Just a quick update here, everybody. So we did end up, I removed the range here because this didn't hold at all as a range. It looks more like we're back to playing this. So the other thing I did is I went ahead and because we found resistance up here, up here, up here, it seems to me that now to go ahead and move that overnight high up, seems like to me the resistance is up in this level now. So there's really no point keeping this here where prices are slicing right through. And I went ahead and I also moved the bottom of the bigger range. I went ahead and I had it here at the open of the video, and I just went ahead and moved it down here. So you got this waterfall down. You did get this pattern, two attempts here. Um, it's very far away from the EMA. I didn't take it. It's fair enough that you could have taken it. But I passed it up. But you can see after it made those two attempts, it just dumped again. And I drew this water channel. Not sure if it's valid. Fit there, but it didn't push all the way down. Now we're kind of grinding. So we'll see. Maybe we do have a wider channel here. But it looks like prices want to maybe push back down here. Like the buying kind of gave up, at least for the moment. This doesn't look great as a wider channel, just because there's no real touches up here. or anything. And this kind of looks like, we have this downtrend break, new low, it broke, and now it's kind of, you can see how it's getting weaker as it pushes down. It doesn't have these waterfall red bars. It's just kind of, you're getting some weak buying here, and eventually, you probably get some sideways action, and then maybe it tries to go higher, and, maybe this isn't going to go much further. But we'll see. If this just dumps right down here back into, these lows or something, then, maybe there's something wider here to consider. But this right here was the best opportunity for the day. And again, I said because I'm not typically the most aggressive trader. I usually try to stay pretty conservative with my entries, but certainly that fits the sort of thing that I'm looking for on those two-legged pullbacks. It just didn't. I just didn't quite like that, where it pulled back to, and that there wasn't much room here to this swing. But definitely the longs that like that big green bar got trapped in real quick and flushed out. So that's definitely a possibility. It's a bit more on the aggressive side, but you know, definitely that's the kind of thing I'm looking for. All right, so we this ended up being a center of a pattern here. So you got this leg down, you got these two tiny legs, and then you got this push down. I did draw this range, then I had it, remember I had it where the lows were like in this area here. But once price came down and bounced there, then I just put it on here. Um, maybe this is the larger range. So then we had this reversal, this higher low here. If we zoom into that, let's just make this bigger so we can see this. So this is our range potentially. We had this higher low, but this higher low it's not too far from the EMA there, and it's right into where prices struggled here. So didn't like that for that reason. You do get this trend up, then it breaks just one leg and pushes up to this new high, and then you get this. But since this had already pushed up to the new high, I didn't like that as a second leg there. We end up pushing up again, bouncing off the EMA, pushing up again. So then at that point, I drew this trend line, and it does fit pretty nice off here, um, but it struggles off the highs. It pushes through and creates this overshoot looking thing. So we have to be careful when you get an overshoot. That often leads to a break. It can recover. So maybe what we have here, maybe this little move down here, maybe this is just a break for this trying to retest this uptrend high. Um, this would seem like an odd place to me to just flat reverse, but you never know. This is for some reason there's a lot of volume coming in right now. Um, and you have one leg, two legs so far. So yeah, hard to say what's going on here. Maybe this trend is not valid. Oh, it in here a little bit since it didn't go up any higher. So that's what I'm looking at now. I didn't catch anything off the bounce up. Um, and there's this prints like a very micro higher low here. You get this push down. This comes and prints this little wick right here and pushes up it. You're very close to the high, and this could always turn into two legs down. So you don't want to get trapped trying to take a higher low here um, when you've got potential. And you can see it does try to make a second leg down, although this does capture a few points. The high is not that far off. So maybe what we're doing here is we're getting a break. Maybe this is going to push up to a new high. We'll just have to wait and see. Certainly don't want to take any shorts yet because of that potential. I mean, this is close enough, and this is it. The channel recovered after this overshoot. Bounced up to the other side, bounced off, tried to bounce again. So in my opinion, this is probably going to try for a new high. It's just the legs of correction are ugly, and maybe then that gets us back up here to this resistance zone. So that is my thinking is prices are going to try to get back up here. Um, and then maybe we find a way to get in on a short up here. Although this is we'll see. That's my thought though. I think it's probably going to try to get to a new high, back up to this zone. All right, just another update here. So now we've hit this, see the orange measured move, and also I drew one from here because it was so strong and then pushed up again. So we've hit into both of these measured moves. We've broken out of, this level of resistance now. Um, so, I don't see, everything seems played out to the upside, even though this continues to look like it wants to push higher. My expectation would be we start making lower highs and, you know, um, coming back down into this range because that's what it's been doing uh, the last, well, since about 10 o'clock. You can see one leg up, two legs up into this area, one leg down, two legs down, one leg up, two legs up. I'd expect to start seeing lower highs here forming. Uh, be kind of surprising to me if this just kept pushing up here higher, um, because we are into these major moves have been made. We'll see. I mean, anything's possible in trading, but me, I'd be looking for a way to get in with if we can find a nice setup to get short. Um, it might be this would be a great spot to try to leave a runner sitting if to maybe catch the next move down into this range. So that's what I'm looking for. Um, we'll just see what happens. Okay, everybody, just an update here. Just like I was saying that what I thought was going to happen here. We did print like we came up and pushed him at a lower high, and now we're pushing down in. Only thing concerned about, I'd like to see this start kind of taking off and get past this measured move and not really react to it. I'd like to see the start taking off. So that would give us confidence then that we're indeed fading back into the range and trying to head towards the other side, and then maybe we can catch uh, a setup off a correction. If we get something starts like doing something like this again, it starts just falling here, um, and it gives us some sort of two legs. It's probably given uh, the opportunity that you have to catch a big runner potentially to the other side. Even if you don't get the prettiest setup, if it's kind of fits what we're looking for, I probably would be inclined to take it. Now we're not getting very pretty printing. You can see it's not right now. It's not waterfalling. You're just kind of getting prices sluggishly pushing lower. So we'll just see what happens. I'm hoping that we get a nice trend down and get a break to get in on a trade, but we'll see. Hoping this just doesn't react to a measured move here or act like two legs and then start pushing higher. That's not really what I'm looking for. That'll make it difficult to trade because that's not what you're expecting from the historical way that the range has been behaving. You see, we get this trend down. It breaks, makes a new low, then we get this push up, new high, this push down, break, new low. So you're getting every time you're pushing up and down here for like four times, once, twice, three, four. You're getting these legs that you can kind of measure and count on, even if you're not getting many opportunities to get in with the trade. But if this decides it wants to just find some odd support here for some reason and start carrying higher, that makes it kind of difficult because that's not what you're expecting based on um, what the rain, what the prices have done throughout the day today. If maybe this will even push up and create like a one more even kind of major lower high and then take off after prices, because sometimes with how big this is, prices will try, you'll see, kind of two larger attempts to push up higher, and after once, twice failing, then you might get that big rundown. So we'll just have to go from just play the price action as we see it. All right, everybody. Looks like we're starting to may be starting to push down here. Um, if you're, I don't think this is a great trade. I mean, if you're an aggressive kind of trader, maybe you opt to short right here on this entry. Here's what I didn't like about it. We already had two legs, so this is the second leg. All right, so you've got two legs already. Um, and you can see I drew the support zone. For whatever reason, when prices got here, they bounced there. They bounced there again, bounced there again. This is right into the EMA. So I got a bit of a concern there that we have hit this, for whatever reason, maybe it's creating support here. I don't know why, but I have to respect that. So I can't short into this. I don't want to short into an area that has already been tested three times. Um, so what ends up happening is it looks like it ends up breaking down, and we may start to run here. So we may get a, maybe this pushes down, and maybe prices start to run down here and form a bigger trend now after we've kind of worked our way through whatever buying there was here for whatever reason. Um, I have to also be aware that we are now hitting this measured move level, so I'd like to see this just start to run away from this level, not bounce here. So that's what I was looking for. I was looking for some sort of reversal. It just did not set up great. Um, so I didn't enter there. Had I entered there, I'd probably just be sitting here with a runner, waiting to see if this flushes down now, because you have a potential of 618 if we're expecting prices to come down here. Even if you say I'm just going to go for 40 points or whatever, and there's ways that you can manage these runners. If this like flushes down and creates like a big lower high and pushes down, then you can move your stop down and just kind of follow it. Like for example here, if we had entered here and taken a runner, and you see this push up, um, once it does this, I'm probably, at least moving my stop down here and taking some extra points for my efforts and leaving a runner. And then when it creates this lower high, I'm probably pushing my stop down to here, um, considering that to be maybe a major swing. So, there's ways that you can manage those runners, but I'm just hoping that prices start to give up, the buying starts to give up here, and we start to move down a little bit more authoritatively so that we can maybe get, a correction, and capture some more points with a runner. But right now, we just hit this measured move level and we formed this bar, so let's wait and see. I'm hoping this just doesn't do anything and just pushes down, but that's where we're at right now. All right, final update for today, everybody. Uh, After about 2 o'clock, market did end up doing a whole lot, just kind of chopping sideways. Nothing really clean about what it was going to do. We started to fade down. We never really did. We just kind of made a couple legs down and then pushed up, and we're just kind of going sideways here into the close. So, um, but as you can see, if you understand how price action typically works, you can have a good idea about where prices are going, or um, you don't know for sure because here we expected prices to come down because that's what it's been doing all day in this range. But you can have a pretty good idea about how things are going to work and where your entries, where your setups might be. Some people might look at this all as one downtrend, but once prices start bouncing here at this level, draw that down a little bit. then you can starts pushing up. Then it's kind of looks like, okay, a couple legs down, and you can see that your momentum is waning, and now you're pushing up above the EMA, and you're holding the EMA, and you're making higher highs and higher lows, and on bigger swings, you're making higher highs and higher lows, and so, then you observe how things are moving in the market. So it just takes experience, but so it gives you what that does is it gives you opportunities to look for high probability setups, instead of just guessing. To the average person, this probably just looks like the market is just swinging around, and you don't know where things are going. Um, Obviously that was the case. If you watch the video today, you can see that several times I called out what probably was going to happen. Here I said about coming down and maybe looking at this level, as a bounce. I had stuff here. I had a range here in this area, I think. Um, and then when prices bounced here, I had it here, while this was looking like it was going to sell off here, I was saying my expectation was going to be that this trend up was going to retest, and I had these measured moves, these orange lines drawn a long time before they ever played out. Um, and so I said, up here, to the average person, it may look like, okay, prices are they just want to go higher now. And I was saying, when prices got up here, that my expectation would be that because prices kept turning down here and here, and everything was played out according to the measured moves, and this trend breaking and making a new high, and that my thought would be that price was going to attempt to fade back down. Sometimes it doesn't it's not really uniform, doesn't look really nice, pretty, but I called that out ahead of time. Several moves on this market I called out ahead of time because I understand generally how price action works, how trends work, how ranges work, and what prices tend to do, um, when you're seeing trends and ranges. So anyway, I didn't end up picking up anything for today. Um, Best opportunity was probably right here, and that was before I even sat down at the market. Of course, we were looking for things in different areas, but nothing happened. Uh, this was another one I passed on it. Um, it printed a little differently in real time, and my chart has refreshed since and printed a little bit different setup. But um, there's the downtrend and two legs back we're looking for with a decent bar, but I passed on it because of how small it was compared to the move. I was looking for maybe something a little bit bigger, and I was concerned, especially we're still very far away from this EMA, which prices like to pull back to after they've extended away from it for some time. I was concerned that maybe we'd be making some small moves up here, and so that might end up trapping you because it's very small compared to this move down. Well, it just ended up collapsing there into two legs down, and then you had this trend up. So I was looking for maybe a couple legs to get a trade, and it just kind of went choppy there. So anyway, this is dragging on now 30 some minutes. So that's all I got for today. I'll be back again next week. So I'll see you then.